Okay, so I'm Marlene Roll, formerly Marlene Snyder, so that's my married name is Roll. I grew up out in Attica. I'm the oldest of 3 daughters, and I actually graduated from Lancaster, locally here, so I'm a Western New York girl. And about 1986, I decided to go into the military, join Army Reserves as a 91 Delta, which is back then was an operating room specialist. So I'm the one who passes the instrument to the doctors, preps patients for surgery, that kind of stuff. So, and I did that until 1994. So that kind of lapsed over the top of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was activated for that. I was with the 338th Evac Hospital out of Niagara Falls, and I was picked up by the 365th to deploy. They were kind of like our sister unit across the parking lot. So along with several others across New York State, we made I think there was about 400 of us that actually deployed as a unit together, and we went to Oman, which is south of Saudi Arabia, right on the Indian Ocean, and we put together a 1,000-bed hospital with the Air Force. When I left, I was a nanny for 2 little boys, and we knew that it was a possibility I might have to leave. So leaving was kind of quick. When I got the word, it was Saturday. I was gone the following Saturday. So when I came back, everybody expected just you would just like walk back into your own shoes again. I got back the end of March. We were technically still on orders till like the middle of April. And my employer at the time thought I would come back like May. And I was like, you know what, I need to breathe. I just need to breathe. So, but I did, like June, I think it was, I went back to work. And, being focused on something else. And then the fall rolled around and I went back to school because I'd left school also. Just kind of get you all thrown into all of that, and you sort of focus on other stuff. And we were building a house, and there was just so much going on. But I never realized I was transitioning. Or maybe I wasn't. You know what I mean? I should have been transitioning, but I wasn't. Not as smooth as I look back now, hindsight being 2020. I remember going back to reserves sometime that summer, and a bunch of us got talking, and we said something to Top about this, that, and the other thing about people suck over here. It's really tough coming back and being bombarded with how fast paced everything is over here, because we really didn't have a lot of TV, radio, anything over, and we were in the sand. That was it. So you come back into the States, and it's like a reverse culture shock, coming back home. And I remember him saying, well, you all have PTSD. And we all said, we got what? What the hell's that? And he kept telling us, you need to go to the VA, you need to go see somebody, you need to go talk to somebody. And we were like, it wasn't clicking, it just wasn't clicking. So as the years go by, and I can look back now and think maybe I should have asked him more questions about why or where or whatever, because now I can look back and I can see that transition wasn't as smooth as it should have been or could have been. And from that point on, I struggled a long time to transition, and not knowing that it was me and not everybody else. So, the anger issues, I don't really want to deal with anybody issues. Hell, I even made my own business at home. I designed and built a boarding kennel for dogs. So I was around my dogs all the time. The hard part was dealing with their owners. So now I did that for like 20 years. I just stayed home for 20 years. My husband said, what do you want to do? I said, just build me a house where I don't have to leave. And that's what he did. So that's kind of a, when you look back at it all, you're like, if I had known, if I could have seen, if I could have talked to somebody, direction might have been different, might have been easier, might have not taken so long. So it's I think you don't realize it in yourself. That's probably the biggest thing. Everybody else can see it, but you can't. I was at one of those happily clueless people. You know what I mean? When I came back, I'm like, yeah, here I am. I read an ad, or somebody told me about Lancaster having a 4th of July parade, which they do every year. I used to live in Lancaster, so I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, they're looking for veterans to lead off the parade, knowing that we had all just returned. So I thought, well, what the hell? Maybe I'll run into some of my friends I haven't seen since I got out. So I went, and I think there was 2 of us ladies and the rest were guys. Some I knew, some I didn't. But mainly it was the Lancaster VFW post was the one leading off the parade. So they were the ones inviting other veterans to join them. Well, little did I know that it was sort of a recruiting tool, not knowing what the VFW was, I didn't know. So there's all these old guys, and they're like, hey, you have you ever joined the VFW? And I was like, nope, not even know what that means, And they explained, and you want to be a part of us, and we activate for veterans and families, legislatively, all kinds of stuff. And I thought, well, what the hell, It was like, I don't know, 20 or 25 bucks to join, for the year. And I got to know a little bit about them. But it wasn't until several years later I knew of a gentleman who passed away in Alden who was a very avid veterans advocate. And I was now living out in Alden. So I thought, well, maybe I could take his place in the post so that they didn't lose, numbers or whatever. And I talked to the guys and said, hey, I know, because they actually did the burial at our church. And I was there, I helped them put on the luncheon for him afterwards. So I talked to the guys and I'm like, hey, I said, you're down one, do you want an extra one, And they're like, oh, sure. So I transferred over because it was a lot closer. It had nothing to do with Lancaster or not, just that it was closer for me to be able to participate because driving out to Lancaster and back was just getting to be a bit much. So those guys are the ones. I was the only female in the whole post. And they were ecstatic. I mean, I was like carried around on a platter. Look who we got, But those were the guys that were my backup, my educators, my where to go, who to talk to. They were like all big brothers. They had a little sister in the house. It was like one of those deals. So it was through them that I learned about veterans organizations as a whole, because most of them belong to more than one. I now belong to more than one, and there's a reason for that. It's a numbers game in DC. So my being a member of their organization says that I support what they do, and yes, you can count me again over there, and you can count me there, and you can count me there. You know what I mean? So and that helps on the veteran side of things. So yeah, I can't say I dove in. I was kind of dragged in, but they were the ones that were like, hey, you need to, start holding some of these positions and learning. And I was scared to death. I had never done anything like that. And I was like, oh, no, you don't want me doing that, But they kept insisting they were going to educate and push. And they gave me the background that I have. Something would come up. They're like, hey, you'd be good for that. why don't we put you in for this? And, we'll help you along the way. And they did. I can't say that they just left me hanging, because they didn't. That bunch of guys, and we've lost some over the years, were the catalyst for me to be able to get in and understand what it takes for veterans to maintain their benefits, to receive and maintain. If you're not advocating, DC will put the money somewhere else. As sure as I'm sitting here in a blue shirt, you know what I mean? If they feel that it's not being used, then they'll use it somewhere else. So we have to keep on top of that. And then as we've seen with our Vietnam guys, they got a raw deal going and coming. And yet they still have a raw deal with their health. And they're the ones who decided they were going to stand up against DC and get things underway. And so you have to respect that. So looking into the organizations, as I did, gave me an understanding of what it was to be involved, is probably the best word. So I became involved on other levels as well. So, nonprofits, other than the military organizations. I've done a wide range of them. I actually had to look up some of them. I was like, holy cow, what have I done over the years? But that gave me the background and the visibility to actually get a commissioner's position in Erie County. If it wasn't for that, being an advocate out with the veterans, and one of my own veterans putting my name in for consideration for the position after Patrick Welsh left. And I fought him tooth and nail, kept telling him, don't do it, I don't want it, I know nothing about it, they're like, oh, just go for the interview. I'm like, yeah, no, you don't understand, this is like really big, no. And he finally asked me, he says, please let me put your name in. And so my husband's like, what's gonna hurt? If you don't get the job, you don't get the job, no big deal, right? And I'm like, all right. So I looked at it that way, but then got the job. And that was like a holy shit moment. Whew. Holy crap, now what do I do? So through that, working Erie County, working Monroe, I got to see a lot of other things. The VA, I've sat on a lot of committees in the VA, nonprofits, from Higher Ground to, oh golly, I'm out at the National Cemetery, the Memorial Council out there. I do some things with my husband, nonprofit stuff that he enjoys. I join in with him out there. So yeah, just a lot of it mostly is based veteran stuff. Also got me a job as an accredited service officer for quite a while. Training twice a year, making sure that you're on top of the new rules and what's available to veterans. My favorite piece was being able to give voice to veterans. A lot of our veteran community doesn't realize that it's a service officer, largely, I feel, and the service organizations that listen to the service officers saying, we see the same issue over and over and over and over. So like I'll use our Vietnam guys because that's so noticeable. With Agent Orange, it was the service officers that helped bring voice to that, that these guys were getting the same kind of illnesses. Everyone was coming in with, I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this, and eventually making the VA look at it and say, hey, we need to understand, is this part of aging or is this part of Agent Orange? It's the service officers that came after for Desert Storm, Desert Shield. The illnesses for our first Gulf War veterans, Gulf War illness, which seems to be all over the board. Iraq, Afghanistan, burn pits. We're still going after that. Just all of those. And it's because we have a chance to go to DC couple of times a year, or we have direct connection. A lot of the higher up or older organizations actually have offices in DC and are well connected with the legislative community there, so they can call up and say, hey, we need to discuss this, or we really need to have a sit down with the Secretary of the VA because we're seeing the same thing over and over and over and over, and you guys need to pay attention. That's how we get things done. If there's any veteran out there thinking that it's just out of the good graces of our representatives in DC saying, oh, we need to do this. Not one of them, not an iota. It's us bringing those issues to them and asking them to bring them forward and vote on them and support us. So, other than that, how are they going to know? You know, they got a lot of pans in the fire, so I'm sure they're not all just sitting there going, well, what's wrong with the veteran community today? So, you know, when you get involved and do all that stuff, then you get to see how all that works. And then you know where the ropes are to be able to pull and follow and see where you get things done. So organizations are where it's at. VFW is my biggest one. I've been with them 30 years. I'll be 30 years just July 4th. So yeah, I've been with them for 30 years and have moved up the ranks from lowly little member in the back row to state commander. Long road, but very educational and challenging and fun, and wouldn't have traded it for the world. It was quite a ride. Quite a ride. I belong to the American Legion. The rest I'm going to mention, I don't even really go to. I'm just so involved in VFW, I don't even have the extra time to donate to them, but I feel I should support them. So American Legion, my post is out of East Aurora. I am with the DAV. I'm with AMVETS. And then, you know, I'm still with the Buffalo and Erie County Naval Park. I was appointed to that board when I was working for Erie County, and I stayed with them for, oh golly, I want to say it was all of 10 years on the board. I've been with the Veterans Mentors and Veterans Treatment Court. Started with Judge Russell when he started that program. Just got too busy, and Tuesdays got too filled up, and I couldn't keep up with it. But that's a very good, worthwhile program he started that's now across the United States. Higher Ground is probably my biggest passion. It is a nonprofit that fundraises for adaptive sports for veterans. So we do all kinds of things. We do everything from kayaking and climbing and horseback riding and maybe soon to be photography and just all kinds of stuff to include, it's a national organization. It's not just here in Western New York. It's based out of Sun Valley, Idaho. They do skiing, of course, because that's their big thing there. But we also have LA, which does surfing and water sports and stuff like that out there. So the reason it's a big passion for me is because it does get veterans connected. It brings veterans together. We also pay attention to the families and the kids. So all that value of activity and bonding and all that, I have seen some fantastic results. I've seen veterans who have been stuck in their houses for a long time, not socializing at all, and coaxing them out of their houses to come on a program for 5-6 days and see them transition. And I always say to myself, every time I'm there, I should take a picture of everybody, because if not everybody, at least somebody out of that group is going to change for the better. And they physically change. It's amazing how much they change. And to see them and to run into them again, like out in the community, out at dinners, out at whatever, and they're happy and they're with friends and they're doing things. And yet it all started with pulling them out of their house and just reconnecting them. It's priceless. We're social beings. We're designed to be with people. It's like one of our components in order to function. So whether you're a people person or not so much a people person, you still need to be around people. It's just it's who we are. So when veterans come back, I don't care if it's a deployment or not, whether you come back home from just serving your 4 years stateside, and things are tough coming back, or you were in the thick of things in Fallujah, coming back and isolating is not good. Long-term effects, and it's a mental health issue. And if you don't have your mental health, what do you have? When you're in the military, you're broken down and rebuilt to be a team. And the civilians might not understand that. And who else better understands about a veteran's issues with something or something that's bugging them? How many times have you been around veterans that get together and they all have the same level idea about something? Doesn't it make you feel good to know that somebody else feels the same? You're not the only one either experiencing something or having an issue with something. But it's usually our veterans that know where to go and how to get things done. Sometimes not so much civilian, but we have our civilian counterparts out there who are diehard advocates for our veterans. Quite a few people at Higher Ground are all civilians, and I think that surprises people. Maybe even surprises the veterans that go there, that they understand and they can do things or give you tools to get you through life. And why not? Why be miserable and upset at home and avoiding and missing out on life in general? You had your military career, be it 4 years, be it deployed, be it long-term 30-year. There's still that transition that needs to happen because military and civilian are two different worlds, or two different animals, and we have to learn to function back into it. And if you allow your military career to hold you behind four walls and a door, what life do you have left other than that? There's more chapters to a book than one. I've never read a book that had one chapter. So it's time to walk through the door and create more chapters. And maybe that takes another veteran kicking a veteran in the ass to get them going. Being available to be kicked in the ass, to be told to get going. You know what I mean? So it is innately important. Mental health wise, I think there would be a lot less struggle, a lot less 22 suicides a day. I know the number fluctuates, but that's the call sign right now. So I think we could stop that. I think we could stop that if we could find them and get them out with us. I can't begin to tell veterans who haven't been connected. Even just a simple meetup for kayaking can turn into so much more. And see them laughing and going home and saying, "Hey, yeah, let's meet next week Tuesday for wings," or that's the first step. So that's why I'm passionate about Higher Ground. They actively are there to walk along with you to do that. You know what I mean? And they give you the tools and they give you the opportunity. Why not take it? I guess first I would say, been there. Know the feeling. Understand the feeling. Understand why they're doing it. Begging them not to. Because it doesn't have to be that way. I'm here, others are here. We just need to know where you are. You just need to send up a flare and just say, hey, this is where I'm at. We'll get somebody to you. We'll talk to you. We'll walk with you. Lord knows I've walked veterans into the VA with them. You know, we're afraid to go alone. And just say, hey, you know, I'll go in with you. If you're willing to go, I'll go with you. Okay. You know, if it's that kind of an issue, you know, reach out to us. I'm not opposed to talking to people in the middle of the night. I'm not opposed to meeting up with somebody and just going for a walk. I've done my fair share of that. My phone rings, I'll go. You know, I've been out on Christmas Eve doing that. So if I can think that I saved one person doing that, I'd be thrilled. And so give me an opportunity to do it again. You know what I mean? I'd hear you. Give me a call. There's more to life on the other side of that door. I know it feels overwhelming and crushing, and God, I know the anger. I think our society here is fast-paced and commercialized, and kind of feels like it's flying right by you. You know, you're like everything's going around you. If you're having a hard time getting a job and you're worried about how you're going to feed your kids, or if you're going to keep your house, staying behind the four walls isn't going to change that trajectory. Reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, I need help, or I just need an answer. Maybe you don't need help. Maybe you just need an answer. Where do I go to get this? Who has that? Who better knows than the veterans community? Because we've all been there somewhere along the way, or have known somebody. Hell, even we've had veterans reach out because their car won't pass inspection. And people have known either gearheads or whatever that were willing to fix the car for free, just so we can get it back in and get it passed on inspections, you know? It doesn't have to be a mountain. And I think when you're in the thick of it, it feels like Everest. So just being willing to breathe and say, okay, I'm going to reach out to somebody, and I'm looking for that hand in the dark, and hopefully the connections that I get are going to pull me through this and see daylight again. I'm just going to say it's probably going to take one veteran to pull another veteran through. I know it's hard to ask for help. And sometimes you don't even know what it is that you need. You know what I mean? You can get so caught up and mired down that you don't even know which way's up. And I think that's when people give up. I hate to see them get that far. No need. Get out and join something. You don't want to join the veterans organizations. Okay, I get it, but you know what? These organizations have been around since the early 1900s. VFW, 1899. Why? Because after the Spanish-American Wars and Revolutionary Wars and everything prior to the 20th century. Government didn't take care of you. They gave you your discharge papers and you walked back home from wherever it was you were at. They didn't help with your injuries. They didn't help with your family who was probably starving when you got back. They didn't help with any of that. So veterans got together and decided they were going to help each other. And it has grown into what they are now. I will tell you that if you walk in at the post level, and I don't care if it's VFW, American Legion, DAV, AMVETS, you name them all. If you walk in at the post level, you only see the post level. If you dare to crawl a little higher, you will see the bigger picture. And sometimes that means going all the way to national. And go to a national convention just once, out of any of them. Go to just once and see what the bigger picture is. And see what really is going on. Because I can tell you that local posts are a personality. They're not the same behind every door. But we need them desperately. We need them to be able to fight for our veterans' rights, our veterans' benefits, and the service officer work goes hand in hand with that. So that's the two sides to a lot of these organizations, helping our veterans get their benefits and helping them keep their benefits. If they go away at the current present time, all their numbers are dropping dramatically. We're losing our World War II guys. We're almost through all of them. Now we're losing our Vietnam guys, and then there's going to be this huge gap between Vietnam and Desert Storm. And there wasn't a lot of us at Desert Storm. So that means Iraq, Afghanistan. It's almost like, it's like pretty close to like a generation and a half gap. If these organizations implode, you can kiss your benefits goodbye. I don't know who's going to be doing your service claims for you. The VA is not going to acknowledge that you have asthma or lung cancer due to burn pits. That's all going to go away. I can't even begin to tell you. Even our numbers have dropped in the VFW as much as we try. We ask that people join, our veterans join. If you are eligible for one other or more than one, it's imperative. And if they say it's an old men's club, I beg to differ. Last time I checked, I'm not a man. Never have been, never will be. Women are certainly involved. I'd like to see more of them because I'd like to hear from more of them. As a matter of fact, I was just appointed Women Veterans Committee Chair for this year for New York, so I'll be looking for more women veterans, mainly to talk to them and get perspective from them. But we need to join because we need to be able to carry this on. And when the new generation comes in, we can then change it for the new generation. I can go into a post. Does that mean I'm going to change all 100 of them? No, probably not. I vote, we take a vote and there's 25 in the room and I vote one way and 24 vote the other way. Guess who's outvoted? Well, you flip the tables and you bring in the younger generation. Find out what they want, what they need. Ask them to come in and vote on these things and turn the posts into what they need and how they want to function. Because ultimately it's going to be theirs for the next 20 to 40 years. So they have to be able to advocate for themselves at some point. They can't just rely on us being here forever. We have to be able to pass the mantle. They have to be able to join. If they can't handle joining a military organization, then get out and join something so that you can stay active and that you can be connected, because there's a lot of opportunities that pop up when that happens. There's a lot of opportunities. People you meet, you're like, oh, I wish I knew how, or I knew somebody who did this, that, and the other thing. And the next thing you know, somebody's like, well, yeah, Joe does it. All you have to do is call him. You're like, really? I can't tell you the amount of networking I have done. And now I can say I've got a good friend in every state because we were all state commanders together. So, and we've had that happen. We've had people travel and break down and call and say, I'm in this town, I'm stuck. Where do I go? What do I do? And we're like, wait a minute. And we start calling around and we find out who's closest and find out if there's anybody who can run and go help, or where do they go, and we get information to them. It's better than AAA. So I just wish I could get all the veterans in Western New York to come in and sit down and just listen as to why they need to join organizations. And I beg them, because I don't want to be the 80-some-year-old in the state home whose benefits go away. Hate to see young families that need help and assistance. And by the way, there's a lot of kids programs and scholarships and trips and all kinds of things available, but you'll never know it because you don't hear about it. That's our fault. That's our fault. But I want to fix that. I want them to know what we do other than drink at the bar. Those guys drinking at the bar, they did their fair share of work. They kept the organization going. They did what they had to do. They ran the programs. They put in mega hours. So if they sit at a bar and talk, they're entitled. Where are you? Yeah, your service shouldn't be over. You know, there's a lot us veterans can teach a lot of people. We know a lot of stuff. We're smart people. We're educated and trained. Share that. Share that with a youngster. Share that with teenagers who are willing to get involved or do things, you know, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever. Just share your knowledge, you know, be available. Well, we all work out better for it. I mean, and I think you'll learn that it eventually puts a smile on your face, you know, paying it forward. I know we've done our service. I know we did our time. You know, we volunteered. We did all that. But who's the better people in the room? Us veterans.